Hello everybody, welcome back to Weekly Wildlife Wisdom. As always, I'm your host, DiBgd. Let's go get into it with the first animal of the week being the Sonoran Desert Tortoise. Also known as Desert Tortoise, is a species of tortoise native to the Sonoran Desert throughout northern Mexico and the southwestern United States. They measure around 10 pounds in weight, around 10 to 15 inches in length, with the males being slightly larger than the females and sporting longer tails. They sport high domed shells that are typically greenish tan to reddish brown in color. Additionally, their forelimbs are rather stout and they possess sharp claw like scales that they use for digging, which they dig rather expansive burrows and provide shelter from the harsh desert environment and create a subterranean haven for many other species of the desert, including various toads, salamanders, white-tailed antelope squirrels, wood rats, collared peccaries, burrowing owls, gambels, quail, rattlesnakes, Gila monster, beetles, spiders, scorpions, and other lizards. Desert tortoises typically spend their days underground, hiding from the desert sun, and emerge only at night to feed upon grasses, herbs, wildflower, and cacti. The Sonoran desert tortoises themselves are often preyed upon by ravens, kit foxes, badgers, roadrunners, coyotes, and fire ants. Desert tortoises mate during both the spring and autumn seasons, around which time the males will grow two large chin glands, which act as sexual display structures, and the females, after which mating, the females will lay a clutch of 4 to 8 hard-shelled eggs, which have the same size and shape of ping pong balls. And typically, they will hatch around 90 to 135 days after incubation. They will hatch after a 90 to 135 day incubation period, with some nests overwintering and hatching the following spring. The desert tortoise grows slowly, often taking 16 years or longer to reach sexual maturity, which they do so around 8 inches in length, but they can also live between 50 and 80 years under the right conditions. Next up is the pure Patinga, also known as the red-bellied pacu, is a large species of pacu and close relatives of piranhas and silver dollars in the Cercosporidae family. They can be found throughout the Amazon River basin where they inhabit whitewater rivers, flooded forests, and wetland habitats. Here they mainly feed on fruits, seeds, and nuts, but can be generally opportunistic animals that will also consume zooplankton, insects, crustaceans, and small fish, especially in the dry season. In general, most seeds are able to pass undamaged through the pure Patinga's gut, making them a fairly effective seed disperser. Measuring between 2.5 and 3 feet in length and over 50 pounds in weight, the pure Patinga can be distinguished from other pacu species by its smaller adipose fin, which lacks rays, and its more rounded head profile, as well as notable differences in the structure of the teeth and the operculum, which is the gill covering. Juveniles have a distinct red crest and belly and are easily confused with the carnivorous red-bellied piranha, but the two can be separated by their easily distinct teeth, which are more like pacu and more serrated and jagged for cutting flesh in piranhas. This similarity is believed to be mimicry by young pure Patinga in an attempt to avoid predation from other species. As this fish ages, the bright red underbelly gradually morphs into a duller yellow or orange, as the rest of the animal generally becomes grayer in color. As adults, they typically live in small schools of between 2 and 12 individuals, which generally migrate with the seasons, taking advantage of floodplains and forest habitats during the wet seasons, and they retreat deeper waters of permanent rivers during the dry season. The red-bellied pacu is capable of living upwards of 15 years under ideal conditions and is often farmed by many aquaculture operations due to their large size and meat yield. Next up is the white stork, which is a large wading bird in the stork family, Chinchuanidae. Sorry. It gets its name from its distinct plumage, which is mainly white along the head, neck, and body, and black on the wings, with adults sporting stilt-like red legs and long, pointed red beaks. On average, these birds measure between 39 and 45 inches from the beak tip to the end of the tail, and they have a wingspan over 8 feet in length. There are two subspecies which differ slightly in size, and are mainly distinct from where they breed, with one breeding in Europe and northwestern Africa, and the other breeding in southwestern Asia around southern Kazakhstan. They can be found from north to Finland all the way down to southern Africa. The white stork is a long-distance migrant, often wintering in Africa or the Indian subcontinent, depending on the subspecies. And when migrating between Europe and Africa, it avoids crossing the Mediterranean and detours via the Levant in the east or the Strait of Gibraltar in the west, because the air thermals on which it depends in soaring do not form over water. It prefers to dwell in grassland, wetland, and farmland habitats, typically along waterways where it has easy access to its prey, which consists of insects, fish, amphibians, reptiles, small mammals, and small birds. The white stork is a monogamous breeder, but does not pair for life, and both members of the pair will build a large stick nest, which may be used for several years. Each year, the female can lay one clutch of around 4 eggs, which hatch asynchronously around 33 to 34 days after being laid. Both parents take turns incubating the eggs, and both feed and care for the young. The young will leave the nest around 58 to 64 days after hatching, but will continue to be fed and taught by their parents for a further 7 to 20 days. White storks are known to live upwards of 35 years under good conditions. Next up is Acheronite archrops, also known as the African death's head hawkmoth. It is the most widely recognized of the 3 species within its genus, Archeronidae, the other 2 being Archeronidae lachesis and Archeronidae styx, respectively. They can be found throughout Africa and Eurasia, from as far east as India to as far west as the British Isles. This death's head hawkmoth can also most commonly be identified by the vaguely skull-shaped pattern adorning the thorax, the characteristic from which its common scientific names are derived. It sports a 5-inch long wingspan, with the upper sets of wings being brown and with hints of yellow, amber, charcoal, and cream. The lower sets of wings are bright yellow, with 2 brown stripes fashioned in waves extending diagonally across the surface. At rest, the wings of the moth fold downwards, concealing the hind wings behind the forewings. The abdomen of A. atrops is robust and covered in brown, feathery down, and the yellow stripings that highly resembles the color patterns of hornets extends partway across each abdominal segment. The intensity and distribution of this color can vary widely in individual specimens, with some individuals occasionally being found expressing indistinguishable skull-like patterns on the thorax. Like in most Lepidopteri, female moths of the species tend to be larger than males, appearing bulkier and sporting larger, more robust abdomens. The larvae are typically yellow or green in color, with blue and yellow stripes. The body is stoutly built and sports an upward curving posterior horn. Unlike most moths, which generate noise by rubbing external body parts together, all 3 species of the genus Acerotidae are capable of producing a squeak from the pharynx as a response triggered by external agitation. It is unclear exactly why the moth emits this sound. However, one hypothesis suggests that the squeak relates to the moth's honeybee hive raiding habits, as the squeak produced from this moth mimics the piping noise produced from a honeybee hive's lock queen, a noise which she utilizes to signal the worker bees to stop moving. In spite of the fact that this death-head hawk moth is perfectly harmless except as a minor pest to crops and to beehives, the fancied skull pattern has burdened the moth with a negative reputation, such as associations with supernatural and evil. There are numerous superstitions to the effect that this moth brings bad luck to the house to which it flies, and the death or misfortune may be expected to follow. More precisely, in South Africa at least, uninformed people often believe that the moth is poisonous and has an often fatal sting, possibly referring mainly to the proboscis, but sometimes to the horn on the posterior of the larvae. I'm getting over a cold, I'm sorry. Next up is the Northern African giraffe, also known as the three-horned giraffe or the North African giraffe. or the northern giraffe, sorry, is a type species of giraffe native throughout northern Africa. Once abundant throughout Africa, it has historically ranged from Senegal, Mali, and Nigeria from West Africa to the Mediterranean coast. Today it is isolated to small populations throughout South Sudan, Kenya, Ethiopia, Chad, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Niger, and Central African Republic. Here they inhabit savannas, shrublands, and woodlands, feeding on leaves, twigs, and bark of a variety of tree species, using their up to 18-inch long prehensile tongue. Additionally, they may supplement their diet with various fruits, grasses, and bushes, and it is also known for being one of the more giraffe species that eats more grass than the others, possibly due to its drier environments in which it lives. Fully grown giraffes stand between 14 and 19 feet tall and weigh between 1,800 and 3,000 pounds in weight, with males being taller than females. The northern giraffe sports two horn-like protuberances known as ossicones on their foreheads, with the northern giraffe sporting the largest ossicones of all giraffe species, and bull males even developing a third cylindrical ossicone in the center of its head just above the eyes, hence the name three-horned giraffe. They frequently travel in herds up to 60 individuals that tend to be sex segregated, although mixed sex groups made up of adults and young males are also occur. Giraffes mate and reproduce year-round depending on the resource availability, with a typical gestation period lasting between 400 and 460 days, after which a single calf is normally born, and although twins occur on rare occasions, uh, giraffes have unusually long lifespans compared to other ruminants and can live upwards of 35 years under ideal conditions. Next up is the Baikal seal. The Lake Baikal seal, or the Nerpa, is a species of earless seal endemic to the Lake Baikal in Siberia, Russia. It had an average length of between 3.5 and 4.5 feet and about 150 pounds in weight. The Baikal seal is one of the smallest true seal species and are the only exclusively freshwater pinniped. Their main food source is the golomak, a cuttoid oilfish, also completely endemic to the Lake Baikal. And these fish make up 90% of the Baikal seal's winter diet. Additionally, the seals supplement their diet with other fishes as sculpin, graylings, and sturgeon, as well as copepods, amphipods, and mollusks. Baikal seals themselves are often preyed upon by bears, red foxes, sables, and white-tailed eagles. Female Baikal seals reach sexual maturity around 3 to 6 years of age, whereas males achieve around 4 to 7. They mate in the water towards the end of spring with a combination of delayed implantation and 9-month gestation period. Baikal seals' overall pregnancy is around 11 months. Pregnant females are the only Baikal seals to haul themselves out during winter, while others tend to stay in the water under the ice all winter. Females usually give birth to one pup, but they are one of the only two species of true seals with the ability to give birth to twins. Additionally, triplets are very rarely recorded. When born, the pups sport coats of white, silky natal fur, which is quickly shed in exchange for a dark, steely gray coat like that of adults. Occasionally, the coats can be spotted. The female raises the pups on her own, and she digs them out a fairly large den under the ice, up to 16 feet in length and more than 6 feet wide. The pups as young as 2 days old then further expand this den by digging a maze of tunnels under the ice. Pups are weaned and introduced to solid food around 2.5 to 4 months, and remain with their mother until the dens collapse during mid-spring. Baikal seals can live upwards of 50 years, which is exceptionally old for a pinniped. And our extinct animal of the week, and one of my personal favorites, is Dimetrodon, which means 2 measures of teeth. It is an extinct genus of non-mammalian synapsa, which lived during the Caesarean, or the early Permian, around 295 to 272 million years ago. Fossils now attributed to Dimetrodon were first studied by the American paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope in the 1870s. Cope obtained the fossils along with those of many of the Permian tetrapods from several collectors who had been exploring a group of rocks known as the Texas Redbeds. The first use of the name Dimetrodon came in 1878 when Cope named the species of Dimetrodon incivus, Dimetrodon rectiformis, and Dimetrodon gigas in the scientific journal Proceedings of the American Philosophical Society. Over the next 2 centuries, Dimetrodon remains have been uncovered throughout much of the United States, Canada, and even Germany. Dimetrodon was a quadrupedal sailback synapsid, and most species ranged in length from 6 to 15 feet and are estimated to weigh between 60 and 550 pounds. The largest known species of Dimetrodon was D. angelicensis at around 13 feet in length, and the smallest is D. teutonus, which is measured at just 2 feet in length. The skull of Dimetrodon was high and narrow, and the region in front of the eyes uh, was long, sporting chisel-shaped teeth in the front of the jaw and sharp triangular cutting teeth further back in the mouth. Its distinctive sail was made up of elongated vertebral spines running along the back up to a meter in length, which would have been covered in layers of skin and blood vessels that could have served as thermoregulatory structures for a heat exchange mechanism. The sail may also have been used in mating and dominance rituals and or for making it look much larger than it was to predators. In life, Dimetrodon dwelled in a range of environments from well-vegetated coastal deltas to arid upland forests. Bigger species of Dimetrodon were among the largest predators of the early Permian and would have fed on a variety of organisms such as the shark Xenacanthus, other fish species, amphibians such as Diplacalus and Erops, small reptiles like Captrohinus, and even large land-living herbivores like its relative Adaphosaurus and the unrelated Diadectus. It is unknown exactly why Dimetrodon and its relatives, such as the Dilophosaurus, went extinct, but it is believed that they and many other species were victims of the Olson's extinction, which was a mass extinction that occurred around 273 million years ago, give or take. As always, take care of the guys, gals, non-binary pals. Happy Pride Month. And I believe this is coming out around Synapsid Week, so happy Synapsid Week. Bye.